Hey, how are you doing? In today's video, I want to talk to you about just keep walking. What God told me about not giving up. You know, I'm sitting here in my office, and I can't help but think about the people I've seen walk through that door over the last 30 years, and most of them looked exactly the same way when they came in. Their eyes had this look, this hollow, exhausted look, like they'd been running a marathon in the dark and they couldn't find the finish line. They'd sit down across from me and they wouldn't even know where to start. Their shoulders were rounded in. Their hands would shake a little bit, and they'd say something like, "John, I don't know if I can do this anymore." And I'd sit there and I'd listen, because listening is everything. But here's what I noticed after thousands of conversations like that. The people who made it through weren't the ones who found some magic answer. They weren't the ones who suddenly got a break or won the lottery or had their circumstances change overnight. No, the people who made it were the ones who understood something simple but absolutely profound. They had to keep walking, even when the path was black, even when they couldn't see the next step. And that's what we're talking about today. Not motivation. Not some feel-good sermon that makes you feel better for an hour and then evaporates. We're talking about the deepest kind of perseverance, the kind that comes from faith, the kind that transforms you from the inside out. If you're looking for real answers about how to keep going when everything inside you is screaming to stop, hit that subscribe button. We need to talk. Here's what I want you to understand by the end of this video. You're going to learn that giving up isn't just about quitting. It's a slow death of the spirit. It happens so quietly that you don't even notice it at first. You wake up one morning and you realize you're not living anymore. You're just existing. And when the mind gives up on itself, when it accepts that there's no point anymore, it's over. Not physically, but spiritually. You're already gone. But to understand how this all started, we have to go back. We have to look at the pattern that got you here. Because nothing just happens. There's always a beginning. There's always a moment when the crack first appeared in the foundation. And on that day, everything seemed perfectly normal. You know what that's like? You wake up and the sun is coming through the window. Your coffee tastes the same. Your family is there. The world looks exactly like it did the day before. Everything is ordinary. Everything is fine. You've got your routines. You've got your plans. Maybe you're working towards something. A promotion, a relationship, a dream. You can see it in your mind. You're making progress. Maybe you're a parent, and you're raising your kids, and you're doing everything right. You're showing up, you're present, you're making sacrifices. Or maybe you're in a marriage and you're building something with someone you love. Year after year after year. You're committed. You're faithful. You're giving everything you've got. Or maybe you're at a point in your life where you're just trying to stay afloat. You've got your job. You've got your responsibilities. You're tired, but you're hanging in there. You're keeping your head above water. And then something happens. Not something huge necessarily. Not always a tragedy. Sometimes it's small. Sometimes it's subtle. But something breaks. Maybe you get a diagnosis that wasn't supposed to come. Maybe you get a phone call that changes everything. Maybe you work towards something for years and it falls apart in a single moment. Maybe the person you trusted the most betrays you. Maybe you look in the mirror one day and you don't recognize the person looking back. The reality break happens like this. One moment you're standing on solid ground, and the next moment the ground is gone. You're falling, and you can't see the bottom. You don't know if there is a bottom. I had a man walk into my office once. He was a successful businessman, built his company from nothing, worked 80-hour weeks, had the respect of his peers, had everything he thought he was supposed to have, and then his company went bankrupt. A partner betrayed him. Millions of dollars evaporated. In a matter of weeks, his entire identity was gone. He sat in my chair and he was shaking. Not from sadness exactly, from the shock of it. From the disorientation of suddenly not knowing who he was anymore, because his entire sense of self was wrapped up in that business. And when it was gone, he was empty. He told me, I don't know how to exist without that. I don't know who I am if I'm not that guy. And that's when the real problem started. That's when the control truly was lost. Not the moment the company failed, but the moment he realized his entire foundation had been built on something temporary, something that could be taken away. That's what I mean by the reality break. It's not just the bad event. It's the moment you understand that you have no control. You never had control. And all the certainty you built your life on was an illusion. But here's the thing that nobody tells you. Here's the psychological plot twist that changes everything. The worst part isn't the thing that happened. The worst part is what happens in your mind afterward. Because after the thing breaks, you're left alone with your thoughts. And those thoughts become a prison. You lie awake at night, and your mind plays every possible scenario. Every failure, every wrong choice, every moment where maybe you could have done something different. The man I told you about, the businessman, he told me he couldn't sleep for weeks. He'd lie in bed next to his wife, and he was absolutely convinced that she would leave him, that she'd realize she'd made a mistake marrying him. He couldn't see her love anymore. He could only see her judgment, her disappointment. Even though she was right there beside him, supporting him, he felt completely alone. That's the psychological wound that nobody talks about. It's not the bankruptcy, it's the shame. It's not the loss, it's the belief that you deserve it, that you're not good enough, that you're broken, that everybody would be better off without you carrying them down. The silence becomes unbearable. The silence at night when you're alone with your thoughts. The silence in a crowded room when everyone's laughing and you can't feel anything. The silence inside when you realize you don't recognize yourself anymore. That's what gives up feels like. Not an action, a feeling, an atmosphere. It's what happens when your faith runs out, when you've been fighting so long that you can't remember what you were fighting for anymore. If you've ever felt that kind of silence in your life, that kind of weight, leave a comment down below. I read every single one. And I'm not saying that to get comments. I'm saying it because you need to know that you're not alone in this. There are thousands of people right now who feel exactly like you do. Now, I want to show you something. I want to take you to the Old Testament, to the life of Elijah the prophet, because Elijah's story is the story of what giving up looks like. But more importantly, it's the story of what it looks like to keep walking when every cell in your body is screaming to stop. Elijah was a man who heard directly from God. He was a prophet. He had a direct line to heaven. He'd seen miracles. He'd called down fire from the sky. He'd defeated the false prophets of Baal in a public showdown. He'd done the impossible. He'd been used by God in ways most of us will never experience. And you know what that meant? It meant he had enemies, powerful enemies. The queen, Jezebel, wanted him dead. Not captured, not imprisoned, dead. She'd already killed the other prophets. She was hunting Elijah. So Elijah ran. He ran away into the wilderness. And here's the thing that gets me every time I read this story. This man had just experienced the greatest spiritual victory of his life. Fire came down from heaven. He'd been vindicated. His faith had been proven. God was real. God was alive. God was with him. And somehow, in a matter of days, he was running. He was afraid. He was alone. He was broken. He got to Mount Horeb, and he was exhausted. He'd been traveling, fleeing for his life, and he found a cave. And he went into that cave, and he collapsed. And God asked him, "Elijah, what are you doing here?" And Elijah's answer broke my heart when I really sat with it. He said, "I've worked hard for you. I've done everything you asked me to do. But the people don't want to listen. They want to kill me. I'm the only one left, the only one who still believes. And now they want to take even that away from me. I don't have anything left." That's rock bottom for a prophet of God. A man who'd seen miracles. A man who'd been chosen. A man who'd been used by God himself. And he was sitting in a cave saying, "I'm done. I'm the last one. It's over." Do you understand what I'm saying? This wasn't some weak person who didn't have faith. This was a man at the absolute peak of spiritual power. And the moment things got dark, he was convinced that it was finished, that he was finished. Because I'll tell you something that I've learned in 30 years of counseling people. Faith doesn't protect you from despair. Faith doesn't make you immune to exhaustion. Faith doesn't guarantee that you'll feel close to God when everything is falling apart. The prophet Elijah, in his deepest moment of pain, was convinced that he was alone, that everyone else had given up, that he was the only one carrying this burden. And that burden was too heavy. It was breaking him. And here's what God did. This is the part that changed my entire understanding of what it means to keep walking. God didn't give Elijah a new mission. God didn't tell him to go fight another battle. God didn't even give him a grand vision or a promise of victory. God told him to rest. God gave him food. God let him sleep. And then God told him to get up and walk. That's it. That's the entire answer. Get up. Walk. And God sent him to find Elisha, a young prophet who would carry the work forward. God showed Elijah that he wasn't alone, that there were 7,000 others in Israel who had never bowed the knee to Baal, that there were others carrying the weight, that he didn't have to do it all himself. But before all of that, God did something simple and profound. God told Elijah to keep walking, to take the next step, to move, even though he didn't want to, even though he couldn't see where it was going. And you see, that's what I want you to understand about what God is telling you today. Whatever you're facing, God isn't asking you to see the entire path. God isn't asking you to guarantee the outcome. God isn't asking you to have all the answers. God is asking you to take the next step, to keep walking. That's the path. That's how you overcome. That's how you don't give up. In 30 years, I've worked with people who were in the same place as Elijah, convinced that it was finished, convinced that they were alone, convinced that the burden was too heavy to carry anymore. And I can tell you with absolute certainty the ones who made it weren't the ones who found some grand solution. They were the ones who understood something simple. They understood that you don't overcome by seeing the whole mountain and climbing it all at once. You overcome by taking one step, one single step. And then, when you're ready, you take another one. My wife and I have been married for 40 years. You know what's kept us together? Not romance, not a feeling, not even always understanding each other. What's kept us together is this simple commitment. Every single day, we wake up and we keep walking. We've had seasons where we couldn't feel love toward each other, where we were hurt, where we were angry. But we kept walking, because the feeling will come back, but only if you keep walking. I've seen people recover from betrayal, from loss, from failure, from shame that felt so deep it would never lift. And do you know what they all had in common? They kept walking. They got up. They took the next step, not because they were healed, but because they trusted that the healing would come on the journey. Here's what I want you to do starting today. And this is practical. This is something you can do right now. First, I want you to understand that giving up isn't one moment. It's 1,000 small moments. It's the moment you stop calling your friend. It's the moment you skip going to church or reading your Bible. It's the moment you stop trying. It's 1,000 little surrenders that add up to spiritual death. So the first thing you do is this. You identify the areas where you've stopped walking, where you've given up, where you're just existing instead of living. And you choose one, just one. One area where you're going to start taking steps again. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your faith. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's a dream you gave up on. Pick one thing, just one. And then, tomorrow morning, you take one step in that direction. It doesn't have to be a big step. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just walk. You get up and you move. If it's your faith that you've abandoned, you read one chapter of the Bible. Not the whole Bible. One chapter. That's the step. That's the walk. If it's a relationship that's broken, you send one text. You don't have to solve the whole problem. You just reach out. You take the step. If it's a dream you gave up on, you spend 15 minutes looking into it. You don't have to commit to anything. You just open the door. You take the step. And here's the critical part. You do this every single day. You don't wait to feel like it. You don't wait until you have the energy. You just do it. Because every single step you take is a declaration. It's you saying, I'm not giving up. I'm not done. I'm still here. And as you walk, something miraculous starts to happen. The path becomes clearer. Your strength returns. Your faith deepens. Your hope reignites. But it only happens if you keep walking. There's another thing I want you to understand. And this is crucial. There will be days when you don't want to walk. There will be days when everything in you wants to stop. When the weight feels too heavy. When you can't see the point anymore. That's when you remember Elijah. That's when you remember that even a prophet of God, a man who'd seen fire from heaven, sat in a cave and wanted to give up. And God didn't condemn him for it. God didn't say, you should have known better. God said, rest, eat, sleep, and then get up and walk. So on those days, you show yourself some grace. You rest if you need to. You take care of yourself. You pray. You reach out to someone who loves you. But then you get up and you walk. My wife, she's been so patient with me over 40 years, and I'm grateful for that. But you know what kept our marriage alive? It wasn't her patience. It was both of us deciding, every single day, to keep walking, to take the next step together, even when we were tired, even when we were hurt, even when we couldn't see what was coming. That's what marriage is. That's what faith is. That's what life is. It's not a feeling. It's a commitment to keep walking. I had a woman in my office years ago. She came to me because she wanted to take her own life. She couldn't see a way forward. She felt like a burden to her family. She felt like her kids would be better off without her. And she was ready to go. She'd made plans. She was serious. And I'm so grateful that she reached out before she did something permanent. Because we talked. And what I told her was this. She didn't have to have all the answers. She didn't have to see the whole future. She didn't have to know if things were going to get better. All she had to do was agree to take one more step, to stay one more day, to call me tomorrow and tell me she was still here, to agree to keep walking, even though she couldn't see where it was going. And she did. She made that commitment. And the next day, she took another step. And the next day, another one. She got into therapy. She got on medication that helped her brain chemistry. She reconnected with her faith. She spent time with her family. And she walked. You know where she is now? She's thriving. She's healthy. She's living a full life. She has joy. She has purpose. She has a future. But she only has that because she kept walking when she couldn't see the path. That's the power of this. That's what it means to not give up. It's not about being strong all the time. It's about being willing to take the next step, even when you're weak. Especially when you're weak. So here's what I want to leave you with. Life is going to throw things at you. You're going to face loss. You're going to face betrayal. You're going to face failure. You're going to face moments when you can't see the point anymore. That's not a failure on your part. That's just being human. But when those moments come, and they will come, I want you to remember this. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to see the whole mountain. You don't have to know if things are going to get better. All you have to do is keep walking. Take the next step. Put one foot in front of the other. And trust that God is walking with you, even when you can't feel it. Especially when you can't feel it. Because that's what faith actually is. It's not about feeling good. It's not about having certainty. It's about walking, even in the dark. It's about taking the next step, even though you're afraid. It's about being willing to move forward, even though you don't know where it's going. That's what Elijah did. That's what everyone who's ever overcome did. And that's what you can do, starting today. So, I want to ask you something. What's one area in your life where you've stopped walking? Where you've given up? Leave a comment and tell me. I read every single one, and I want to know. Because I want to pray for you. I want to remember you. I want to be part of your journey, even from here on the other side of this screen. And if this video meant something to you, if you found some truth in it, if it made you think about your own life, please hit that like button. It helps more people find this message. It helps more people understand that they're not alone in this. And subscribe, because next week we're going to talk about something else that I think you need to hear. Something that's going to challenge you and encourage you in equal measure. You're going to make it. You're going to keep walking, and God is going to be with you every single step of the way. I believe that with all my heart. Thank you for letting me share this with you today. I'll see you next time.